What's up, y'all? It's your girl Shay Renee, and today we are going to be talking about Tyler Perry's Sisters. Okay, this is my first time actually reviewing with you guys a scripted TV show. I'm going to be doing Sisters, and I'm going to also be reviewing The Kings of Napa. So, Sisters is one of my favorite shows. So, we're going to really get into this one. Okay, so let's get into it, shall we? All right, y'all. So if you've never watched Sisters, or just to kind of give y'all a brief breakdown of what this is a Tyler Perry show, right? I've been watching Sisters since season 1, and now they're on season 4. And it's basically around a group of 4 friends and their trials and tribulations in relationships, child. Okay. So in this season 4, it starts out with Andy waking up from a bad dream because since season 3 ended with Andy thinking that Gary was walking in on her and Robin after their little sexcapade, and he was talking about he gonna join them, child. And I was like, wait a damn minute. And that wasn't so far-fetched because Andy had just had a threesome with Robin. So I'm like, hold on now. You doing threesomes with a woman and a man, and they ain't gonna do it with your ex and the new guy. This is crazy. What is Robin into? What are you into? What's going on? Okay. But it wasn't like that. Andy woke up from a bad dream. So Robin is like, are you okay? What's going on? And, come to find out, we found out last season that Robin is the head honcho. He is the jefe of the entire law firm. Okay. He didn't want to be the face of the firm. So he had other people kind of, people of another culture that are more accepted, we should say, as the face of the firm. Right. So she wakes up, she's all startled. She's like, let me get to work, because she's thinking, you're my boss. So I don't want to take for granted that now that I work for you, I know that you're my boss, that I can do whatever I want. So she's like, no, I'm going to work. I'm going to work. He's like, no, get on the plane with me. Let's go to London and we'll go close this deal. And she's like, no, you got a private jet? Wait a minute. It's ready for us. What? So it's like she's trying to get used to all the power that this man has, and it's like she don't know what to do with it. Like, does she take advantage of it, or does she just kind of take it slow? And I think she's taking it the slow route, which she should. So she ends up getting out of the bed, rushing off to work or whatever. And Robin is like, well, are we going to see each other again? Every time you call me, you're drunk. So I just kind of want to make sure that these interactions are not off of some drunken escapade every time. And she's like, no, I'm just a little shy. So that liquid courage is the deal for Andy. Okay. So anyway, moving right along, Robin had called Fatima to kind of let her know that Andy would be late. So Andy gets to work. And then in the next scene, we see where Preston shows up to Danny's house. And Fuego is like trying to flee the scene and leave her house. But as Fuego is leaving, of course, Preston is at the door. And he's like, well, what the heck is going on here? Mind you, Danny had been wanting Preston to call her. She had called Preston and she had been, trying to get in contact with him, but he never called her back. But then he comes popping up at her apartment. And we find in this scene where Andy expresses that she doesn't like how he just pops up. I mean, not Andy. Danny doesn't like how Preston is just always just popping up on her whenever he feels like it. And I just feel like both of them are very confused in this relationship. So it was funny to me because Fuego starts to act like he's Danny's gay friend to try to get out of whatever this altercation is going to be. Like, I guess he thought he was helping her. And Danny was like, what the heck are you doing? You ain't got to do all of that. It is what it is. We grown. I'm not in a relationship with him. I can do whatever I want. You ain't got to play like you nobody else. It is what it is. He sees what he sees, and that's that on that. So Fuego ends up leaving. And then Preston asks, is he licking your butt too? And I'm like, Lord have mercy, Preston. Everybody ain't licking her ass, boy. Like, what is wrong with you? And Danny pretty much expresses, she's like, you don't respect my boundaries. She's like, from the time that I really don't know why I didn't address it sooner, but I don't like how you don't respect my boundaries. She talked about how She didn't like how he encouraged her landlord to let him into her apartment. He used his privilege to get the landlord to let him into her apartment, how he pops up on her all the time. She doesn't like how he will, it was a situation where his brothers came up to her job and was threatening her life because they didn't want him dating a Black woman. And so they beat him to a pulp when they found out that he was dating her. And then she let him come to her house to kind of have refuge. Then the next day, he has his sister at her house. And it's like, she's like, you don't understand how that could be uncomfortable for me. I don't know your family. And even though you're saying that your sister is a good person, you could have been saying that. Why is my husband crawling around in the background? Right, you don't have to do that. I'm sorry, y'all. Getting back to what I was saying. So you are so silly. So anyway, she's basically expressing all these situations where her boundaries were just totally not thought about, and he crossed boundaries that she just did not think, that made her uncomfortable, right? Then she talked about when he had handcuffed her to the bed and said, "Beg me, gal." And she's like, for you to be a person that has wanted to date Black women all your life, you really don't understand how the things that you do are offensive. And she just basically said, you need to just become more educated on how the things that you're doing are really making me uncomfortable, and you don't see it. So he doesn't hear anything she says. All he can think about is Fuego gallivanting in the apartment and what they could have been doing and him being there. I'm like, you didn't hear nothing that this woman said. You're not listening to her at all, because the first thing he says is, you know what? I don't ever want to talk to you again, because clearly you don't want to you're not ready for somebody like me, or we don't need to be together because I'm obviously in the way of you talking to all these other guys. I'm like, wow, Preston, I really expected more out of you. Like, you really need to get yourself together, because you're not even listening to what she's saying. And she has some very valid concerns. Now, do I think Danny should have said something sooner? Absolutely. But, it is what it is. So the next scene, Fatima walks into the office and talks to Andy. And Andy has all these flowers all over her desk. And they're all from Gary, obviously, because he's trying to apologize yet again for his stupidity. Which, my thing is, Gary put on a whole scene at the end of season 3, like leaving out of her apartment, like he don't want to mess with her no more. And he slept with that girl that Andy had the threesome with. So, and he admitted it because she saw that he was in the background of one of the girls' pictures or whatever. So they found out that they both slept with the same chick. So I'm like, Gary, you were cheating on her. Like, what is going on? Like, are we just going to brush over that, Tyler Perry? Are we not going to bring that back up? Because that definitely did happen. And all the flowers in the world, I don't care. Put them on your grave, because that's what you are, dead to me. Okay, that's what Gary needs to be. He just needs to go on. So anyway, Andy, once they figure out all the flowers is from Gary, she's like, whatever. So she compliments Fatima's all white outfit, and they find that Fatima has like a speck on her sleeve. Fatima knows that it's Hayden's blood, but she told, it's something I ate earlier or whatever to Andy. So Fatima realizes that, so Fatima starts asking her about Karen, because Andy was like, yeah, I saw Karen yesterday and we were going to invite you to the club, but she told me to invite you to the club, and I said I'm not doing that, or whatever the case may be, because she knows that Fatima is crazy. Karen want to act all gangster with Fatima, but she don't know she's gangster. Karen is gangster for play. Fatima is gangster for real. So Karen better really stop trying to mess with Fatima, because she's mad that her and Zach are together. So, Fatima is asking Andy, so what did Karen say? Like, how was she acting? Basically trying to see if Karen told Andy that she was pregnant yet. And throughout the conversation, Fatima realized that Andy doesn't know that Karen is pregnant. So in the next scene, Karen walks into the salon and a woman is waiting for her to ask her questions about Zach. So she talks to the lady, walks over to Karen, and she just automatically just starts asking her questions. Doesn't tell her who she is, where she from, none of that. You just start asking her questions. And I'm like, Why would you think that I'm going to answer anything that you have to say? I don't know where the Tom, Dick, and Harry you done came from, and you going to come in here just asking me questions. I don't know you from a can of paint, ma'am. Can you give me a business card, some credentials, something? Like, why am I even talking to you? And mind you, are you getting your hair done? No? Okay, well, get the hell on. I ain't got time for this. Okay. So she starts asking, does Zach live with you? Where is he? Where does he live? And all this. And so Karen is like, listen, ma'am, you can take your bald head ass and get the hell on up out of here. Cause I don't know what you're talking about. And you're not giving me any information. So I ain't telling you shit. Okay. Mum's the word over here. So get on with the rest of your day. Have a good day. So the lady says, okay, well, I'll be going then. So I'm like, what the hell? So then Karen is like, I'm going to call Zach. And her assistant is like, what's her name? Pam was like, no, don't call him. They may be tracking your phone calls or listening to your phone calls. So Karen's like, I'm going to go over his house. So I'm like, how the hell Karen know where the hell Zach live? But whatever. So she proceeds to leave the salon again, which I'm like, how the hell Karen leave the damn salon so many times throughout the day? That's why her customers is left and gone to the other boy, and not even just because he cheaper. But anyway, in the next scene, Sabrina walks into Maurice's office in the bank, and she asks him why he won't talk to her, and he says he wants to finish the audit. So she walks out. So Maurice gets a collect call from jail from Q. And Q is basically telling Maurice, yeah, I'm here. I'm in jail. And some of these acting skills, these things that Tyler Perry puts together, it's like everybody's like, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know that. Like, that's one of the consistent things that I find that a lot of the actors say, which that's either here nor there. But anyway, he's basically telling Maurice that he's in jail. And here's my thing. Why are you still calling Maurice? And Maurice, why are you even talking to him? I would have hung up on him as soon as I heard his voice. Because here's the thing. You could have jeopardized my entire existence at work with my friends, everybody. Like, he literally held a gun to your head and said that he would blow your head off if Sabrina didn't let you into the safe. He doesn't care about you. And he told you he was gay for pay. So why the hell would you even, I don't know why Maurice continues to get himself caught up in these situations with these types of men. Like, I would have hung up on Q as soon as I heard his voice. But anyway, Maurice says, what is wrong with you? Because Q says, oh, I need a place to stay when I get out of here. So I'm going to, basically give them your address so I can stay with you. And Maurice is like, hell no, you can't stay with me. Like, what is your problem? And my thing is, if he does come and stay with him, that's going to look like Maurice was a part of the whole situation. It's just crazy to me. And I don't even understand how Q can even set his mind to think that it's okay for him to go and stay with Maurice at all. So Maurice tells him no, but for me, he was giving him way too much conversation. So in the next scene, Danny calls Sabrina and tells her about her convo with Preston and how that ended. And he's like, don't call him no more and all this, that, and the third, and how he just really didn't understand where she was coming from. So Danny says, maybe we don't have enough in common, and tells Sabrina to call the panty man and Calvin walks in the bank. So Sabrina tells Calvin to talk to Maurice because he was mad at her about bringing up his father, because apparently Sabrina feels like there's a connection between how Maurice is within the relationships and how his father treated him, because his father really didn't agree with Maurice's lifestyle, and his parents kind of disowned him. So she feels like he's chasing people that are unavailable to him because of his upbringing. So Sabrina tells Calvin to go in the office while Maurice is doing the audit to talk to him. First of all, let me say this, Tyler Perry. Now, you know good and damn well that Sabrina wasn't about to be letting nobody that don't work there go up in the damn office while he counting all the money. Can we at least make it realistic? He got the whole register sitting right there full of money, and you letting civilians come in there while he counting money. Come on, Tyler. You could have wrote that a little bit better. We know we're gonna have to get in the writing room and clean that up, because that was messy. So when Calvin goes in the office to talk to Maurice, Maurice says, "Get out of here with them tight pants on." I think Maurice always is the comic relief in the episode. Like, he's actually one of my favorite characters, and I think it's actually hilarious that his character, the guy that plays him, is actually not gay in real life. Well, at least that's what he said. He not gay, but he plays this part very, very well. But moving right along, Calvin says, "Why don't we grab a drink after work?" And he was like, basically letting him know he has a friend that he wants to introduce Maurice to. And Maurice is like, "I don't got time for your games. I'm not doing this." And he's like, "Come on, it'll be you're really going to like him." So Maurice is like, "All right, have him pick me up from my house." And Calvin is like, "We live together, right?" And so Maurice is like, "Whatever, I'll make sure I have my red bottoms on." I'm like, oh my gosh. So Calvin says, "I'll bring them to our house and stop stressing Sabrina out." And Maurice says, "I ain't bothering that." I just love how he just randomly just yells things out and says things. He is like the comic relief on the show. And I just think he is so hilarious. So then moving right along, Diego or Fuego, whatever his name is, he pops up at Danny's job at the airport. And he's like, "I'm going to Miami, but when are we going out? Like, when we going to hang out?" And Danny was like, "We not about to be hanging out. Like, you're a stripper and I don't really agree with that lifestyle and I'm not trying to be with you." And he's like, "So you used me?" Like, he was like really upset. Like, he's like, "Do you know how many people throw themselves at me? You know how many women I could have? And I'm trying to be with you." I'm like, "Sir, if you don't take your tattoos and muscles and get the hell on, I didn't come looking for you. You can get rejected just like the rest of them. It's people that's attractive that get rejected every damn day. I don't know why you think that somehow you are exempt. I don't get it." So apparently he doesn't appreciate the rejection and he walks off with a little attitude. So then she says, so then a random man just comes over and sits down. And he says that his flight was delayed and he's just waiting. And Danny ends up checking his ticket because he's trying to get fresh with her, getting all in her business about what happened with Fuego walking away or whatever. So they go back and forth. Like, he's trying to flirt. Danny ain't telling him her name, and she ain't giving him the time of day. But he decides to sit at her gate. And Danny has a radar where she's like, something ain't right about this man. Like, why is he sitting over here? And what the hell is going on? So she calls security and says, "Listen, this is one of the things that we were trained about. I think he's over there human trafficking." And the security guard is like, "I'm going on lunch break. I ain't got time for this." Like, he's not even really interested in helping Danny. And Danny was like, "Oh, no. We ain't about to do this." So she goes back over to the post and she's like, "I'm on your ass. I'm watching you." Like, basically. So in the next scene, Karen goes to Zach's house and asks him what was going on with the woman coming to her salon, asking her all these questions. And she's like, "Is this money illegal? What the hell you doing?" Like, Karen at this point is just assuming the damn worst about everything with Zach. And Zach is like, "What the hell are you talking about? Like, I got this money in a legit manner. There's nothing going on." Basically, like, what the hell are you doing here anyway? And so Karen is like, "Well, okay, well, if you ain't do nothing, then whatever." And she's like, "Well, you're not going to invite me in your house?" And he's like, "No, it's a construction site. Like, that's not a place for a pregnant woman." She's like, "Oh, fine. You just don't want me to see your house. Whatever." And she just walks off. I'm like, damn, Karen. Every time you talk to this man, you got to be stank. Can you have some type of pleasantries in your voice when you talk to him? Like, I just don't. Oh my God. It's very exhausting to deal with a woman like that. Like, I pray to the good Lord that I don't ever treat my husband like that, because that is very exhausting. And I couldn't even be friends or be around a chick that acts like that. It's like she craves drama. If drama is not happening in her life, she's not happy. Like, if things are going well, she's like waiting for them to go bad. And it's just like, I don't know where this type of woman exists. Actually, I've never been around them, but Tyler Perry continues to create these characters that I guess he's seen in his life. So I ain't never been around a Karen, but whatever. You like it, I love it. So he's like, "All right, fine, come on, come in there if you want to see it so bad." She's like, "No, Zach, fine, I'm leaving." And so then she, storms off saying some more negativity. So he's like, whatever. So he ends up calling Fatima to basically talk to her and tell her to call him back because she's trying to figure out what the hell is going on with this woman. And before Karen storms off, he says, if she calls you, if the lady comes back or calls you again, just give her my number, you know, whatever. I know what I'm doing is legit, so I'll talk to her and see what she has to say. So Karen, I don't think really liked that. I think she was waiting for more drama to happen so that she can have something to hang over Zach's head to say, oh, I knew you wasn't doing the right thing and this money wasn't legit. Like, it's like she's waiting for him to fail, which is really messed up. So moving right along, Calvin and Sabrina talk about setting Maurice up and who will take credit if it works out. I'm like, oh my gosh, y'all are just crazy. So next, Fatima goes out to tell Gary, Andy is busy because Gary comes up to the job trying to see Andy. So they call Andy's office and say, someone's here to see you. And so Fatima says, I'll go out there and handle it. So she goes out there. She's like, what the hell are you doing? I don't like her either. She's just too much. Hold on, let me see. Thank you for commenting, Roster27. You say, I don't like her either. She's just too much. Yeah, Karen is just way team too much. Like, I cannot deal. I cannot deal. But thank you so much for watching and thank you for commenting. Everybody, I have 3 people watching right now, which is absolutely amazing because it's 12 a.m. in the DMV where I am. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as we go along. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So moving right along, so Fatima greets Gary, and Gary is like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go back and see Andy. And she's like, but you're not. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna go back there anyway. And she's like, let me tell you something right here. If you go back there, I'm going to throw myself down the steps and say you did it. Or I'm going to beat myself up or she was talking about all this stuff she going to do to herself and blame him. I was scared for Gary. So Gary ended up saying, you know what? I might not want to be messing with this chick because she seemed like she going to body slam me and somehow it's going to be my fault. So I'm going to go ahead and just go ahead and hit the bricks. So he ends up leaving and deciding that fooling around with Fatima was not the way to go. So Fatima goes back into the office and Andy is like, so what you say? And she's like, oh, don't worry about him. I handled it. So moving right along, Karen walks into the salon. So this is the next scene. So oh, I'm sorry. Did we finish up? They talk about Karen briefly and how we talked about the invite Fatima to the club. Fatima realizes a conversation. Okay, we talked about that earlier. Okay. So then in the next scene, Karen walks into the salon and a woman is waiting for her. No, that's not right. Hold on, y'all. My phone then went in different directions. Calvin goes to the office. Diego, hold on. Give me a second. Give me a second. Okay. So now we into episode 2 of season 4. So that was the end where Fatima basically advises Gary to get the hell on. So then Andy gives Fatima. So Fatima goes in the office. We back on track, y'all. Fatima goes back in the office with Andy. They talk about Robin and says, you know, they talk about how amazing he is. And she tells Fatima she can't tell anyone but Robin, you know, about Robin because he is the boss and he doesn't want anybody to know. And Fatima advises her to take her time and don't rush it. And Andy gives Fatima the same advice, basically with Zach. And Fatima expresses how happy her and Zach are and that they don't really have any issues. And then everyone starts running around the office and a woman comes in to tell them that Hayden was found dead in the parking lot. I was like, oh, Lord have mercy. Finally, thank you. Hayden is gone. Because really, his character doesn't need to be on the show. His character, Gary's character, they both can go. Like, honestly, they can just go ahead and go. So in the next episode, episode 2 starts out with Andy asking Fatima if her and Zach had anything to do with Hayden's death. And I really didn't like how Andy kept grilling Fatima like, I know you did something. Just tell me. And I'm like, the fact that you're grilling me like this, I'm not telling you shit because clearly you're not going to err on my side of things. So why the heck would I tell you anything? And furthermore, if I'm a person that gets back at people the way that Fatima did, I already know that I can't trust you and I can't tell you nothing. I'm doing these things with the notion that I'm handling it myself, which is what Fatima did. Okay. So Fatima keeps telling her, I don't know what you're talking about, girl. I don't got nothing to do with this. And she's like, I didn't do anything. So then Andy's like, okay, but even if you had somebody do something, you are, that it means that you are still a part of it and you can get in trouble. I can't help you if you don't tell me what's going on. And Fatima is basically like, girl, I don't need your damn help. And I'm damn sure not going to tell you what's going on. So that's that on that. Can I go? Can I get up out of here? So then she leaves the office and leaves Andy's office, and then Andy immediately calls Zach. And she leaves Zach a message telling him to hurry up and call her back. So Andy calls Zach and tells him Hayden is dead and someone killed him. And she says she will come to his house and talk to him about it and not to say anything over the phone. So in the next scene, Karen is at her salon and one of her clients tells her about this country boy that she done met. And so that's why she's there on a random day in the middle of the day getting her hair done, because they're going out on a date. And she's like, oh, really? So where'd you meet him at? And she's like, oh, I met him at the gas station, girl. And she's like, oh, okay, what's his name? And she's like, he's a white boy too, so I don't even know. And so let me get this comment here. Ross to 27. I like Fatima. Yes, I love her. Crystal Hayden, Crystal Hazlett is her is the character that plays Fatima. I just love her overall. Like, I love the character Fatima, and I love her in real life. She's actually Zach's youngest child's godmother, which they have like a really cool connection outside of work. So I think that's real cool. But thank you so much for commenting. But yeah, Karen is asking her client, like probing her for information, because it sounds like the guy she's talking about is Preston. So Karen getting all the deets, and she says, okay, girl, well, why don't you just have him come here? Because that way I can ask him what his name is, because the client couldn't remember what Preston's name was. So she's like, yeah, I'll ask. She was like, can you ask him his name for me? And that way I don't have to tell him where I live, girl. And she was like, sure, yeah, have him come here. So she puts the woman under the dryer. Then here comes Pam coming in. And Pam says, oh, this is exactly what I like to see. A lot of people in here. Now my check will clear. And Karen is like, your check always clears, Pam. Like, Pam always does that little slick little walk coming in. And she's another character that I'm like is a waste of space. But she is funny at times and provides some comedic relief. So Pam is a keeper. But moving right along, apparently somebody dropped a dime on the stylist that was cutting the prices and taking Karen's clients. So now I guess Tyler Perry got tired of everybody tweeting about ain't nobody in the damn salon. So now it's always a bunch of people in Karen's salon now, ironically. And now they done brought the clients back because somebody reported the other stylist to the board because they had some violations. So now Karen's getting her customers back. So moving right along, Karen puts the client under the dryer. Preston will end up coming to the salon, or who she believes is Preston is going to come to the salon later to pick this lady up for the date. So in the next scene, Sabrina and Maurice are at the counter, and she asks if he has plans. And Maurice says, you ain't slick, Rick, which I instantly busted out laughing. He is so funny to me. Like, he just say the most random stuff. And I'm just like, I can just imagine that's Medea in his ear, just creating his whole character. So then he says the situation, he tells Sabrina to go and tend to customers. And then he's like says something rude to her. And she's like, don't talk to me like that. And so she walks off to tend to the customers. And then Q calls Maurice again. And he basically says, well, I'm getting out. I've dropped a dime on everybody else so I can get out. And he's talking to Maurice like Maurice should be happy and excited to be talking to him and happy that he's getting out of jail. And Maurice is like, okay, well, good for you. Well, I hope you don't do no stupid stuff again. Like, what do you want? What are you telling me for? So Q basically is like, yeah, and I gave him your address because I need somewhere to stay. And, the parole officer said I have to be on house arrest and I need a place to stay so that I can be monitored. And Maurice is like, take my address off of there. Like, what is wrong? What the hell is wrong with you? But I don't feel like Maurice was angry enough. I feel like he is mad because he thinks he should be mad. But he wasn't aggressive enough with telling him no for me. But he told him, change my address and you're not coming to my house and all this, that, and the third. And then he ends up hanging up on Q. So I'm like, Maurice, you better not have this man up in your house. He done stole from Calvin. He took you to your job to have you rob the bank with him, basically as an accessory. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? I would not be answering this man's phone calls no more. Like, you don't even need to be an option, and I don't even know why you are. But moving right along, Karen calls Danny basically being messy as hell because she's calling her saying, yeah, my client, she met this country dude, and I just want to know what's going on with you and Preston. Basically, like, do you know who this is? And just being messy. And so Danny is like, Karen, you're just miserable and you want everybody else to be miserable right along with you. Why would you call me saying this stuff? I don't want to know any of this. Me and Preston are not even together, so whatever. So then Karen gets pissed that Danny wasn't with the shits. So she calls Andy telling her, where you at? Can you come to the salon? And Andy's like, I'm at work, like, what's going on? And I'm getting ready to go, and I gotta go on a run real quick, but I can see you later. Like, you want to come to my house or whatever the case may be. And I'm like, damn, all y'all got jobs. Y'all just want to just be leaving work and be talking about some bullshit. So Karen's like, well, Danny pissed me off. And she's like, what does she do now? And so Karen says, yeah, I call her because, my client was telling me about this guy and I really thought it was Preston or whatever the case may be. So, but she's mad because I'm trying to help her out, basically. And Andy was like, you shouldn't have done that. Like, why did you call her and say that? You know that their relationship is complicated. Like, that's basically you involving yourself in something that don't have nothing to do with you. So Karen is pissed because Andy ain't on her side and bullshitting with her. So she's like, whatever. Okay, well, I'll just see you later then. Bye. And I'm like, you ain't even tell her that you pregnant and you mad that she not on your side with your BS. So in the next scene, Danny is at the counter, and then there's this young woman coming off of the flight, and she's like scared shitless and like crying and shivering. And the guy that she suspected was the human trafficker immediately jumps up out of his seat and grabs the young woman's arm and is like pulling her off with him. And Danny says, unhand that girl. And she grabs the girl. And the dude is like, you don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about? Like, trying to play it off like he's not doing what clearly he's doing. So he keeps trying to grab the girl from Danny, and then he ends up running off. He's like, okay, I'm caught. So let me at least get the hell out of here so I can get away. Danny take her damn shoe off and clock the hell out of that fool. And he falls right down to the ground like a damn deer that just got hit by a 4x4. Okay. So the security guard finally goes over there and they handcuff him and take him off or whatever. So Danny's intuition was actually correct. He was human trafficking. And that whole situation, they made it kind of comical, but that's also very scary. Like, it's really scary to me. And it reminds me of a story of a, that was on the news where there was a stewardess that she noticed something wasn't right. And the young lady was able to communicate a message to her to let her know that she was being trafficked as well. And so she was able to save that young woman's life. And it's just, this stuff is going on so much every day that we have to be ever so vigilant. So I'm glad that Tyler Perry highlighted this in one of his episodes to make sure that people are paying attention to this and it doesn't just fall to the wayside. Because I haven't really heard a lot of people talking about it recently. So in the next scene, Calvin brings his friend over, and Calvin's friend is feminine, just like Maurice. So Maurice and the friend pretty much tell Calvin, do you understand we like the same thing? Like, we want a man we're feminine, so we want a man that's manly. Like, why would I want to date myself? And it's like, they're basically explaining to Calvin, for you to be somebody that grew up with gay parents, with gay dads, you don't get us at all. Why would you want to hook me? We would be more so like friends than lovers. And so they ended up, the friend and Maurice kept on getting his name wrong, child. And I didn't even write the poor man's name down correctly. But they ended up Maurice and the guy that Calvin tried to hook him up with, they end up sit down talking and having a kiki session and saying, we really need to teach him how to do better because he don't know what he's talking about. And for him to sit up here and try to hook us up, yeah, he needs some help. So moving right along, Karen finishes her client, and the client gets out of the chair and she's like, oh, he's here. The guy that's there to pick her up, which in fact was Preston. So in comes Preston, and obviously, and her client, I forgot to mention, was Black. So here he is dating another Black woman, trying to date another Black woman. So Preston has never, excuse me, y'all. Preston has never met any of Danny's friends. He's never met Karen. So he doesn't know that this is in fact one of Danny's friends. So he's like, you ready to go? Do you want me to pay for your hair? And the client is like, I can pay for my own hair. And Karen is like, oh, so you would be willing to pay for her hair? You rich? You got it like that? You banking? And so he's like, no, but I can pay for her hair or whatever. And so I think Karen was doing that to kind of stall. And then here comes Danny looking just as good as she want to look, dressed to the nines. And she's like, oh, where you going? What's going on? What was said? She coming in looking like, oh, you busted, sir. And it's like, I feel like she's like, yeah, you're busted. But then she's like, well, we're not together. And you said you wasn't really checking for me no more. So I ain't really about to shoot the breeze too long. But I do want you to see that I see you. I see that you've moved on in a matter of hours because you was just at my house this morning. Like, wow. Can we grieve for 2 minutes? Grieve the moments of whatever we had. But you already back in the saddle. So I can't wait to see in the next episode how they gonna play this out. And I forgot to talk about Gary and this daggone Rolls Royce that he bought Andy, which Andy, why? You don't need this damn car. First of all, Gary had this daggone car in the parking garage with all these bags and gifts in the back. Who does that? I know it's a law firm and everything, but you got expensive handbags and clothes with the top not even on the damn car. And you got all this. Anybody could have stole that stuff. Like that was very silly. But I guess it's a TV show, so it ain't real. But Andy was like, I don't care about these gifts. I don't want to be with you. Get this car out of here. I don't want the car. And Gary's like, I'm going to keep trying to get you back. I'm going to keep trying to get you. And I'm like, Andy, don't act like you wasn't impressed because this man knows that you materialistic. So that's exactly why that was the first straw he pulled to try to get you back. And now you want to act like you don't want it. I'm just over her and Gary. Like, the drama of those two is just getting sickening. I'm just ready to see more about Zach and Fatima in the new show Zatima. And I forgot to talk about how Andy did go over to Zach's house, and Fatima ended up telling her what happened to Hayden. She's like, Hayden is not dead. He in the hospital. That mofo got 9 lives, I guess, because he's still alive. But she told her what happened and how she got back at him and the guys beat him up or whatever. But she assured Andy that he was still alive and that, they didn't have anything to worry about. And so her and Zach run off into the sunset upstairs in his house laughing at each other. And Andy is looking at them like they crazy. Like, what the hell did I just witness? Like, let me get out of here. Like, now she acting scared of Fatima because she's like, damn, if she could do all of that, then I better make sure I keep my third eye out on this broad. So all in all, this episode was hilarious. It's a lot of different little scenes developing throughout the cast. So we'll see what episode 3 brings. And hopefully it don't bring Q to Maurice's house, Gary and damn Andy back together. And Lord knows, I hope the resentment get up out of Karen's body. And maybe I would like to see Preston and Danny work it out. I think Preston does have a lot to learn about dating a Black woman. And he needs to actually listen to what Danny is saying instead of taking offense to what she's saying, because she's really just trying to educate him on how to love her properly. So anyway, y'all, thanks for watching. Please, please, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video with other people that you know that watch this show as well. And I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.